Good afternoon. Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani, Honorable Minister, will be joining virtually a little later because there has been a whip issued in the Parliament. So she will be not able to come here, but will join us virtually a little later. General Bipin Rawat, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, YSM, SM, VSM, ADC, Chief of Defence Staff, Ministry of Defence, Government of India. Captain Dibya Shankar Mishra, Honorable Minister, Industries, MSME, Energy and Home, Government of Odisha. Mr. Mekapatti Gautam Reddy, Honorable Minister of Industries, Commerce, Information Technology and Skill Development, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. Shri Mohan Kavri, Chairman and Mentor, FICCI TECHNOTEX SME Committee and Chairman, Supreme Group. Dr. Sundararajan, KS, Chairman, ITTA and Managing Director, Shiva Texian Limited. Shri Manav Majumdar, Deputy Secretary General, FICCI. Stakeholders from the industry, friends from the media, and ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you to this inaugural session of TECHNOTEX 2021, a much larger 9th edition of this international exhibition and conference being jointly organized by the Ministry of Textiles, Government of India and FICCI. Our sincere and heartfelt appreciation and thanks to our Honorable Union Minister for joining us. She will be joining us a little later and sparing her valuable time from a very busy schedule and being with us today. Her support has been quite visible to the textile industry in general and to the technical textile sector in particular, considering the importance and the growth potential both in India and the global platform for technical textiles. Our sincere thanks to other dignitaries on the dais, as well as all participants who have taken time out to attend this event. Thank you. Can I now request the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp? Thank you, gentlemen. May I now request Shri Dilip Chenoy, Secretary General FICCI, to felicitate our guests on the dais. General Bipin Rawat, Mr. Mekapatti Gautam Reddy, Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Shri Nihar Ranjan Dash, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Textiles. Thank you, Mr. Chenoy. I would now request Mr. Mohan Kavri to propose the welcome address to the dignitaries' August gathering and deliver the industry perspective.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Shinoy. Respected General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, Ministry of Defence. Shri Makapati Gautam Reddy, Industries Minister, Andhra Pradesh. Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Textiles. Distinguished guests physically present on the dais, off the dais, and those meeting virtually. My apologies for not being physically present. Unfortunately, travel between Mumbai and Delhi has been made more difficult the last couple of days due to COVID. I'm pleased to see that despite COVID, we still have a large physical presence. During the last 1 year, we have noticed how we became Atmanirbhar in the case of the protective face masks and PPE kits. This has truly given us a big impetus to do more. We are walking on the path of becoming Atmanirbhar very rapidly. And this is possible only because of our Atma Vishwas, which is inspired by our honorable, respected, and dear Prime Minister. Technical Textiles has received a lot of support now for 2 decades. The industry has definitely taken some benefit of this, but I believe that we could do much better in taking the support that we are receiving from government. The virtual exhibition format is new. I am expecting it to be successful, especially because it will be possible for everybody to walk through the exhibition at their leisure. I urge all of you to please have a look at the various stalls that have been put up by the exhibitors. Thanks and best wishes. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kavri. It is my pleasure now to invite Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, to deliver his address.
Very good morning to all of you. General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, Mr. M.G. Reddy, Minister for Industries and many other portfolios in Andhra Pradesh, the other dignitaries on the dais, friends, and all those who have joined today's seminar through the virtual platform. A very good morning to all of you. I have been a very regular visitor in a way to FICCI, but in my previous assignment, the last 3-4 years, or rather maybe more than 4 years, I have been coming from time to time to discuss about the water actually. And that was the one subject for which I perhaps didn't need a paper or anything to talk about. I have just since less than 2 months in Textile Ministry, frankly speaking, I'm not really qualified to be standing here and speaking to you. So I had 2 options. One option was that Mr. Nihar Das has made a kind of a paper for me, as they call it a talking point. So one was to read out of that, which I generally don't do it actually. So maybe I would eschew the temptation of reading from that paper. even though technical textile is something not absolutely new, but I would admit that maybe about 3 years back, I had attended a meeting which was taken by the principal advisor to Prime Minister Nipin Mishra ji. I think Raghavendra used to be that time Secretary Textile. And then the discussion was about the technical textile. And frankly speaking, till then I had hardly much idea of what technical textile is, what are its uses, and maybe thereafter, since in the water industry also, there are a lot of uses for the technical textile. So we started working on it. We prepared some kind of standards for it, or we prepared SOR, etc., so that the more and more technical textile could be used. And later on, in last 2 months, I have learned that technical textile has so many applications. Perhaps it's a very versatile kind of textile. If we call it a very versatile kind of textile, very high maneuverability, and it has a potential to replace so many kind of products which we use, or maybe some of them we use, but we don't know a technical textile. Just a mention was made about the PPE kit or N95 mask. Maybe a general person would not be knowing that that's a technical textile actually. So first, I feel still we have a long way to go to basically make people aware of what is technical textile, what uses it can be made, and I find that
It will
there is a
become less.
tremendous scope. Not that lot has been done in the last at least a couple of years or so. In fact, you are aware some of them. For example, there were no standards earlier, so BIS has developed the standards. We didn't have perhaps the HSN codes for technical textiles, so codes have been notified, and maybe more codes should be notified. The government has set up what is called a technical textile mission. And we are in the process of making that mission directorate full-fledged. Very recently, we have selected a mission director also under the, in fact, I was in the interview committee, which was headed by the PSA. We invited a large number of R&D projects actually. We got about 70 projects. And I'm told already one meeting has taken place to select some about 15-20 R&D projects. So we would be able to ground that also hopefully very soon actually. Then you are aware that in both the two major announcements which have been in the recent past about the textile sector, one, of course, PLI is not only confined to the textile sector, PLI is there for other sectors also. But in PLI, the performance linked incentive, we have basically included man-made fiber and technical textile. So technical textile is very important there. Even for a mega textile park, you have heard Honorable Finance Minister speaking about the 7 mega textile park which will be set up over next 3 years. And in mega textile park also we find a lot of scope as far as the technical textile is concerned. So I think both the government, the researchers, as well as the industry has to work together actually to really make technical textile not only easily available, but it's a wide-ranging uses, and it has a lot of export market also. Right now, we are not talking so much of export market because in India also there is a huge market, but there is a lot of export market also. I am told perhaps CDS is sitting there. There is a lot of applications, for example, in defense, where technical textile would be very, very useful. And I am told quite a few of them we are also importing today actually. So technical textile will also go a long way kind of in this concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I am sure that since I am not an expert on this subject, I will not take more time. In fact, I would prefer maybe to listen to others, and this also gave me an opportunity to interact some of the either the players who are there already in technical textile or who are going to be a major player with the technical textile. So that's what I decided, frankly speaking, to come physically. Unfortunately, our minister was supposed to come, but then today there is about the budget, there is a guillotine in parliament, and she has to be physically present there in the parliament actually. So I just do hope that maybe sometimes during the day she does join maybe virtually. So I deliberately came here so that I get an opportunity, being a new to the sector, I get an opportunity to interact with some of you, So I do thank the organizers for taking this very important initiative, and I do hope that not only the seminar, which is part seminar, part webinar also, and the virtual exhibition, would be a great success, and this would also basically pave the way for India becoming a leading player as far as textile industry is concerned. So thank you very much. I will not take more time. Thanks.
Thank you, Shri Singh. Your support and your continued support to the industry will be invaluable in achieving the growth targets that the industry is setting for itself, now that the government has already initiated certain initiatives like the PLI and the textile parks. I now invite Mr. M.G. Reddy, Honorable Minister of Industries, Commerce, IT and Skill Development, Government of Andhra Pradesh, to deliver his address.
Good afternoon. My greetings to Madam Srimati Irani, Honorable Union Minister of Textiles, Women and Child Development, Government of India, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, Ministry of Defence, Government of India, my colleague from Orissa, Captain Dibya Shankar Mishra ji, Honorable Minister, Industries, MSME, Energy and Home, and of course to our Secretary, Sri Upender Singh Prasad Singh ji. And to all the dignitaries on and off the dais, glad to be part of the inauguration of India's premier show on technical textiles, and my best wishes to those who are witnessing this TECHNOTEX 2021 virtually. The picture of our father of nation with charka symbolizes how close textiles is to the spirit of India. Incidentally, I'm very close to this sector because I happen to be an MSc Textiles graduate. The success of this sector is determined not just by the annual growth, scale of production, and volume of trade. It will be remembered for the impact the livelihoods, secured, skilled, and technology-infused innovations that result in minimum dependency and maximum self-sustenance. From the exquisite and traditional weaves to modern mills that assured kapada to present spread of textiles in medicines, agriculture, electronics, and industries, the tale of textiles and handlooms has demonstrated the impact at a scale and has transformed lives. This reminds me of a visionary project taken up by our dearest leader, the late Sri Y.S. Rajshekhar Reddy Garu, who believed in potential of establishing such Brandix India Apparel City in Visakhapatnam. Over 22,000 rural women of Andhra Pradesh manufacture some of the finest intimate apparel for top global brands, including Victoria's Secrets, Pink, Marks and Spencer's, Calvin Klein, and etc. These women come to work from a neighboring of 600 villages, and most of them have just completed their 7th standard schooling when they joined. From being apprentices who have made few pieces a day to ambassadors who have scaled growth of Brandix to new heights. These women weave their story as they got skilled. This is the power of the skill. The state truly believes the power of human capital and is establishing new centers for functional learning through its skilled universities and 30 skill colleges across the state, such that the quality skill is accessible and affordable to all. To achieve the $5 trillion economy, where the Honorable Prime Minister of India is laid emphasis on, and especially our emphasis on Atmanirbhar to be realized holistically, one of the key parameters required is the skilling. We as a nation need to look at skilling as reskilling and upskilling. Then is the opportunity for us to actually scale the global levels. That is the reason why our Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh is focusing on a complete skilling initiative. One of the reasons why I'm discussing this particular skilling issue is this is one of the quantum leaps. If you have to ever to take that quantum leap into what we are talking about, global manufacturing arena, where we need to be competing with the best of the best, we need to make sure that our skilled workforce, we have a pipeline of a skilled workforce feeding the industry coming from all this. Also, the power of innovation. Innovation is disrupting the sector a great deal. The other day, I was reading an article about Amber Cycle, a startup on garment recycling that is challenging the fashion industries and compelling the fashion stalwarts to think sustainable. They focused on the problem of less than 1% of garments getting recycled into new clothing, and about 38 million metric tons of polyester from the fashion industry ends up in landfills each year. They innovated the process of extraction, and here we have a new product line. Textiles, apparels, and handlooms as segments are transforming with the integration of AI, deep penetration of e-commerce, and the range of fabrics, make of fabric. The utility of fabrics have changed and challenged manufacturing sectors a great deal. The global market size of a technical textiles have seen an upward trend globally in the recent years due to improving economic conditions, technological advancements, increase in end-use applications, cost effectiveness, durabilities, user-friendliness, and eco-friendliness of technical textiles have led to upsurge of its demand in the global market. The current Indian textile market is estimated at about $19 billion, growing at 12% since the past 5 years. It contributes to about 0.7% of India's GDP. Indian textile industries holds the most value in terms of global textile trade. India stands first in terms of jute production, second in cotton and silk production, fifth in man-made fibers, and eighth in wool production globally. This inherent strength is availability of the raw material insulates the market from any supply-side shocks. Furthermore, India has the highest number of loops for weaving fabric and the second highest number of spindles for spinning fibers into yarn. This shows that our biggest strength lies in churning the abundant availability of natural fibers into yarn and fabric. The government of Andhra Pradesh is also looking at grassroots levels development, and this is happening by way of capital infusion at the basic of the basic levels. It is supporting the industries, the handloom industries through various programs in this times to provide through a program called YSR Netanda Nestam. Government of Andhra Pradesh announced to provide, has been providing for the last 2 years, 24,000 rupees per annum to every weaver family to help them modernize their equipment and compete with the other sectors. I'm also very proud and happy to announce recently our Chief Minister has taken the initiative to fulfill all the historically legacy-filled incentives outstanding, tantamounting to 1,300 crores to be cleared out before end of the September. What are the challenges that we see in Andhra Pradesh? We've done recently a SWOT analysis, and what I would like to say is the strengths that the state enjoys is a raw material base. We have a very skilled, highly labor, and then the major point which I'd like to emphasize is phasing out of quotas. India will have to open its protected domestic market for foreign players. Thus, domestic market is looking at competition. The Indian textile industry has various opportunities integrating into technical textiles, product development, and diversification. Technical textiles offers the opportunities to the Indian textile industry to maintain the current growth and flourish in near future. It will also help in advancement of the industry. India is not using technical textiles much. Both non-woven and woven technical textiles will thrive in India in the coming years. The Indian companies need to focus on product development. They need to diversify. They need to invest in design centers and investment labs. I'm confident that the government proposal for the National Technical Textile Mission for 2021 to 23-24 with an outlay of 1480 crores, where 1,000 crores is earmarked for research, innovation, and development. 400 crores for training, skill development will definitely enable us to achieve the sector potential. I would also like to recollect an example where the federal partnership between the center and state has thrived into a successful joint venture. The Ministries of Textiles during the COVID pandemic supported Andhra Pradesh MedTech zone in Visakhapatnam with the machinery required for production of N95 masks and the PPE kits. With this timely support, the MedTech zone is in a position to manufacture today close to about 1 lakh masks a day and 5,000 PPE kits today. This is from a zero sum to actually scaling up to one of the best manufacturing sectors. This partnership has very been critical to the management of the COVID. The other one is the flexibility. We also need to address our weaknesses. Our weaknesses should, when somebody recognizes the weakness, is the one ready, prepared to take on the new challenge. Our weakness is basically dependence on more on cotton. The spinning sector, which is in particular to my state, lacks modernization, and there is an need for introducing new technologies. India has relatively less number of shuttle-less loom, and then the fabric process is one of the weakest link in the Indian textile value chain. We also have noticed the opportunities awaiting this Indian textile diaspora. Opportunity in high-value items. India has the opportunity to increase its unit value realization through moving up this value chain by producing value-added products and producing more and more technologically products. One of the key things I would like to mention, of course, the Secretary also happened to mention, there is a great need of use of our technical textiles, especially in our Indian Armed Forces, right from a parka tent to a high-altitude jackets. This is one of the examples where the Atmanirbhar Bharat can be sustained by realizing this production potential within India. We also are seeing what are the threats. The threats are the decreasing fashion cycle. There's been an increasing in fashion the seasons per year, which has resulted in the shortening of the fashion cycle. Formation of trading blocks, which are hindrances to one of the trade and commerce. Formation of NAFTA, trade blocks like NAFTA, SAFTA has resulted in a change in the world trade scenarios. We are going from a global convergence to a protective market environment. To complement the efforts of the Ministry of Textiles in this validation, and testing centers have been set up to center dedicated for testing of medical textiles and technical textiles. This exclusive center tests all the medical test kits. This also center has an N95 masks, PPE kits, and so on. And only BIS approved center in the country that can test all category of medical textiles for all the BIS started. Ministry of Textiles has also taken a strategic decision to set up textile hubs in the country as part of the textile hubs for the textile manufacturing parks. Taking the benefit and experience of MedTech zone, Ministry of Textiles has asked the MedTech zone at Visakhapatnam to make the DPRs for the textile machinery manufacturing zone, which MedTech zone is Technology Policy Institute, the Kalam Institute of Health Technology, is doing and supporting the Ministry of Textiles in its endeavors. I would like to emphasize that the infrastructure development is a high priority to us. We are the only state in the country with the 3 industrial corridors. We are also creating an ecosystem of manufacturing excellence to spur the growth and innovation. One such initiative is the Chris City in my home district of Nellore, where we are developing about 12,000 acres suitable for various industries. The city will be designed to have livability, flexibility, and operational efficiency to develop a world-class ecosystem. Before I conclude, I would like to quote Swami Vivekananda ji, "Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is achieved." Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy, for that very insightful and informative presentation. The example of the textile park in Andhra Pradesh, turning out high volume, high quality innerwear for leading global giants like Victoria's Secret and others, is certainly worth emulating. Also, your exhortation to the industry to go down the path of skill development, product development, innovation, and sustainability is definitely the need of the hour. And it holds good both for the woven textile industry as well as for the technical textile industry. So thank you very much for your address. May I now invite Captain Dibya Shankar Mishra, Honorable Minister Industries, MSME, Energy and Home, Government of Odisha, to address the gathering.
Namaskar. I thank the TECHNOTEX 2021, the organizers, and FICCI for giving our state an opportunity to showcase in such a huge platform. I take this opportunity to thank the Union Minister, all concerned with this webinar. I'm really unfortunate that I'm not there physically to speak about Odisha there. We just finished a webinar for petrochemicals and chemicals where Honorable Minister Gautam Reddy from Andhra Pradesh was present. There also we discussed how Paradip is growing, evolving as a petrochemical destination, a hub for plastic. In terms of textile and apparel, Odisha has grown over the years. We have done extremely well in textile. Now it's time for us to evolve and proceed to the next level of developing technical textile park in Odisha. We have earmarked land in different districts. One is coming up in Paradip itself, where IOCL is planning to have a 300 KTPA capacity polyester plant and the plant will have a committed feedstock of polyester staple fiber, drawn texturized yarn and fully drawn yarn. This will create a unique ecosystem for the growth of technical textile sector, not just in India, but in entire Southern Asia. So, under the able leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister with a stable government for last so many years under Mr. Naveen Patnaik ji, with our industrial policy evolving, changing, and whatever we have formulated in last few years, we are sticking to it. We have a very, very stable policy wherein any investor coming in to Odisha will have an advantage. Odisha has become a favorite destination in terms of investment in India. In 2019, we ranked 1 in the country, and even during this pandemic, the kind of investment that has come into Odisha through our single window system is during the current year, we have almost touched 1,20,000 crores of investment. Almost 60 projects have come into Odisha. With the kind of geographical location that we have, the sea coast of around 500 kilometers with so many deep sea ports coming up, and we have so many plug and play facilities, I think Odisha is definitely going to be a favorite destination for technical textile. We have very, very skilled manpower. Even if you consider our startups, our incubators that is there, and this World Skill Center that has recently been inaugurated by our Honorable Chief Minister, we have a real skilled manpower which is required for technical textile. Over the years, Odisha is definitely done well in other sector in metals and minerals, but now we have few focus sector, and we have one of our focus sector is textile and apparel and technical textile. I thank you all for giving us a chance to showcase our resources, our establishment. Let me tell you all that Odisha has got such kind of an ecosystem wherein if you invest in Odisha, the cost of per unit of establishment of any industry in Odisha is definitely going to be the cheapest in the country. Our workforce, the kind of water resource that we have, energy and connectivity is definitely one of the best on the East Coast. So today, I take this opportunity to invite you all to our land, the land of Lord Jagannath. We want to bring back the lost glory. Odisha is known for trading with all Java, Borneo and Sumatra. In the earlier days, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore. Even today, the Aboriginals are called Klingis there because they traveled from Kalinga to all over the world. So we want to bring back this lost glory. We want to develop. Odisha is known for textile. Our handmade textiles, our hand-woven and hand-spun textile, our khadi is known in the country. We respect the ideals of Mahatma. At the same time, we want to evolve into the next generation of textile, the technical textile. And I strongly feel that with the kind of stable policy, with the kind of energy and other resources that we have, Odisha is going to become a favorite destination for investment in technical textile. I welcome you all. Please visit Odisha, see for yourself. Our team is there waiting for you to give you all the support. You for sure is going to grow. We have Aditya Birla in Odisha. We have Shahi Exports in Odisha. We have Jockey in Odisha. So I welcome all the champions of the industry to my land, to Odisha. Come, we all are waiting for you to give you all the possible help and support so that together we can grow and our state grows socio-economically. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Mishra. With your passionate appeal, I'm sure many investors would certainly look at Odisha as a potential investment opportunity. I now take the pleasure of inviting General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, Ministry of Defence, Government of India, to share his thoughts.
Shri M.G. Reddy, Minister in the Government of Andhra Pradesh, Captain Divya Shankar Mishra, Minister in the Government of Orissa, Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Secretary, please present on the dais, distinguished guests who have gathered here physically and in the virtual mode, ladies, gentlemen, and friends for the media. When I last met the Minister, Srimati Smriti Irani, and she mentioned about this 9th exhibition cum conference taking place, we wondered how we missed out on the 8th editions, on these 8 editions that have gone past. Because as far as the defense services are concerned, we have a huge stake in techno-textiles. We are large users of textiles that uses technology, and we will continue to use them in the years ahead. So I think there was no way we should have missed out on this opportunity in the earlier times, but I'm glad that in the 9th edition we've hopped on the bandwagon. We are hopeful that the ministry will help us, the techno-textile entrepreneurs and those already in this field, will help us with the kind of textile that we are looking at. Today, our soldiers are serving in altitudes on the northern borders where temperature falls to as low as minus 50 degrees Celsius in the winters. We have our Jawans operating in the deserts where the temperature rises to as high as plus 58 degrees Celsius in the summers. So we are looking at kinds of clothing that can sustain our soldiers in this kind of extreme cold climate, that can also help them sustain in these hot and humid, dry sometimes climate of the deserts and the northeastern region where we have the jungle and semi-mountainous terrain. I'm not saying the same textile should be able to suffice and meet both the parameters, but we want clothing that can help us in extreme cold climate. As of now, a large amount of our clothing is being imported. But I think of late, over the past 1 or 2 years, we've seen a lot of innovations by our own industry as far as high altitude clothing is concerned. We have now started placing orders for such clothing. And if we find that this thing can take off and support us, we will not hesitate in putting the entire clothing or the entire techno clothing that we are using in the armed forces on the positive indigenization list, which we were earlier calling the negative list for imports, which means we will completely ban import of these items and make sure that the defense services have to depend only on the Indian industry as part of our Atmanirbhar Bharat support that we wish to give to the industry. And I think it is possible. Not only are we looking at clothing for cold climate and hot weather, we are also looking at whether clothing can be developed to identify friend from foe. Clothing which has got special parameters, special markings, which when you look through a binocular or for any other instrument that we have, will reflect differently when the clothing is being worn by own troops or by the adversary. So that we are able to identify when we are required to shoot or fire and there is close proximity between soldiers, we are able to identify from the clothing that a person is wearing as to who is friend and who is a foe. So if we can get some kind of technology which can help us do that in the clothing, whether it is through design or it is through innovations, that we can get this. We also use a lot of material, textile and fibers in our defense works, whether these are tarpaulins that we use, or these are sandbags, or these are things that we use in our bunkers for inner lining. Now, these have to be waterproof, and they have to be long lasting and must possess some kind of elasticity. Is it possible to manufacture these kind of clothings? We will not hesitate in taking all of you to our forward locations to see for yourself what kind of material we are using. A lot of it is innovation that we have done through our own resources. But let me tell you, we would like you to come and support us. Today, for example, when we have to make leak-proof bunkers, on top of our bunkers, we actually use banana plantains. And on top of that, we put mud so that the water does not seep, because banana plantain has that capacity of not allowing water to seep through it. We see it on, we also make plates out of it for eating our food, and we see the water doesn't seep out of it. But can we have textiles with this kind of technology coming in? Similarly, we are now venturing into the space sector. If we have to venture in the space sector, what kind of clothing do our people want if they have to operate in space? We have now created a space agency under the CDS. And this is now going to move forward, and we will have people operating from space. They require special clothing. This is also for dual use. It will also be used by the civilians in space, but then we also need this equipment. Then our troops operating in special operations. We are trying to see if we can get clothing for our troops operating in special operations, which can be anti-IR reflecting, because when our troops go across into enemy territory and have to go deeper inside the territory, the enemy has got laser sensing devices, IR sensors, which can help them pick up a person who's gone inside. Can we have clothing which reflects this and does not allow a person who's clothed with special clothing to be picked up by a radar, or can be picked up by an infrared device which the adversary has? Is it possible to develop this? I mean, these are high technology clothing, but I think we need all this. Then we have got dressings which are made for blood clots. When a soldier suffers an injury, a gunshot wound, or a injury from a splinter, we have today dressings for blood clotting which we are using. Can we have jackets which can be self blood clotting, so that the blood, when he's wearing that jacket, and if he does get a splinter injury, the jacket itself, he just presses the jacket to the wound, and that itself stops the clotting. So which means the jacket may have to have a lining which has the same material, which as of now we have to carry special bandages for the purpose. So those are some of the things we are looking at. Now, we also use a lot of nets. These are for insect repellent, mosquito repellent. Can we have nets which become automatically repellent? Can we have clothing which can be repellent, so that we don't have to use nets? Because a large number of our people who are operating in the northeast region, they get affected by malaria. And the malaria there is very severe. You have cerebral malaria. But every time a person who's standing on sentry duty has to be, he has to wear a net on his head or a net on his arms to make sure that the mosquitoes and insects don't affect him. Can we have clothing that can be repellent, that itself can repel the mosquitoes and the insects that bite him, so that it doesn't have to be cumbersomely be attired in such kind of clothing and yet be capable of using his weapon and other systems that he has? Then, of course, bulletproof jackets are the next thing that we're using. But as of now, the bulletproof jackets are all using metallic plates or plates made of ceramic. Can we use fiber which can be bulletproof, which will prevent the bullet from coming in? It could be a mix of fiber and ceramics. Is it possible to get these kind of things? And lastly, the armed forces are also using very large number of leather products, right from our boots to our belts to our jackets to a lot of our other materials that we use, which is leather products. Can these be replaced with lightweight clothing materials, so that even the boots and shoes and other items that we use can be lightweight? Because ultimately what we are looking at is a soldier who's required to operate in difficult type of terrain, operate for long number of days self-contained. Can we make his equipment somewhere lighter? It can only become lighter if we use TECHNOTEX. This is the way to, I think, equip our soldiers. So I think the list is vast. We will now cooperate with you. We are willing to take you to our forward areas. Those of you who are willing, show you the kind of situation in which we are operating, and see how best we can operate in this environment. And I wish this TECHNOTEX all the success, and we look forward to your support so that you can support the defense sector. And let me assure you, We will support Atmanirbhar Bharat. If you are able to help us in devising and developing such products through TECHNOTEX, it's a very good thing. We know that a lot of incentive is being offered by the ministry for those who succeed, for the way you carry out your production. But there's a huge demand waiting in the defense sector, and we would like to support you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity to be present here. And I wish this TECHNOTEX 9th conference and exhibition a huge success. And Jai Hind.
Thank you, General Rawat. Indeed, the armed forces and, of course, the space present huge opportunities for both the textile as well as the technical textile sector. Some of the examples that you gave, clothing for that and stuff for fiber, etc., is available overseas. But obviously, the Indian industry has to now gear up to make sure that we are able to produce it with the right quality and the right cost. The opportunity is there. The industry will have to rise to that occasion. So thank you for your thoughts. May I now request you, General Rawat, to release the knowledge report jointly prepared by FICCI and KPMG, and I request the dignitaries to join in for the photo op. May I now request Dr. Sundaraman K.S., Chairman, ITTA and Managing Director, Shiva Texyan, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and delegates, it gives me great pleasure in proposing this vote of thanks. And at the outset, I thank FICCI for giving it this opportunity. The Indian Technical Textile Association has been a long-standing supporter of TECHNOTEX, being a supporting partner for FICCI, and it's a great pleasure to once again be here, and kudos to the team for organizing this in these challenging times. My thanks to the Honorable Minister of Textiles for guiding and supporting the industry at large with so many schemes, including starting with the HSN code list that was published to the Mission on Technical Textiles and the PLI schemes that have come about right now, for galvanizing the nation's spirit through the PPE success story, which I'm happy to share with the audience, is continuing, and a lot of international firms are coming to make Indian PPE manufacturers really shine on the global scale. I take great pleasure in thanking General Bipin Rawat, the Chief of Defence Staff, Ministry of Defence, for his very inspiring address. Sir, you have been a supporter for the technical textile sector for many years. Even as I remember, as Chief of Army Staff, you were presiding over the ITA MGO programs, and a lot of products came out of that. A lot of products were indigenous, sir, but it's a work in progress. We are so happy to hear from you about the requirements that you put out. And sir, I'd like to bring to your knowledge, there are Indian insulation companies today who are trying to come out with the best weight to warmth ratio. And within the next 12 months, I am very confident that our dream of making everything Atmanirbhar Bharat, particularly in high altitude, will happen. There are companies working on anti-mosquito products, civilian companies who are exporting this to the rest of the world. I'm sure they can actually serve our armed forces better. And I think overall, there's a great opportunity. Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiration and in giving a fillip to the technical textile industry for being here today. I'm very happy to thank Shri Megapati Gautam Reddy, the Honorable Minister for Industries, Commerce and Information Technology and Skill Development, Government of Andhra Pradesh, for your very inspiring speech, sir, very detailed, and truly a pleasure. Good to know about what's happening in Andhra Pradesh. In fact, I would say among the top 3 sector states people are looking at to come into would be Andhra Pradesh, and with leaders like you, I'm sure industry is inspired to come there. Thank you so much for your address. And also my profound thanks to Captain Dibya Shankar Mishra, the Honorable Minister, Industries, MSME, Energy and Home from the Government of Odisha, an area to be explored It's got a fantastic labor force and great possibilities, particularly the minister talked about the cost advantage, and I'm sure many of our members and participants are going to be interested in going there. My profound thanks to Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, the Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, for a very concise and clear guidance to us. Sir, you might have said that you're new to this area, but as Chairman ITA, I can say under you, the Water Resources Ministry was probably the most active engager in technical textiles with the Ministry of Textiles. I remember conducting seminars. I remember the kind of standards that were created. And under your guidance, I'm sure in the ministry, the technical textile sector will go from strength to strength, sir. Thank you so much for being here and addressing the team. My thanks to Shri Mohan Kavri, who has been a mentor and guide for the technical textile industry at large and to the FICCI TECHNOTEX particularly. To Shri Rajiv Gopal for really spearheading this inaugural session. To the members of the FICCI team, to Mr. Majumdar, to Amit, who has been the silent force behind TECHNOTEX right from the time I know it started, and to everybody in the Secretariat, and particularly to all of you here coming in these challenging times to make this such a wonderful success. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the conclusion of this inaugural session. But before we disperse and start mingling with each other, can I exhort all of you and all of us to follow the COVID appropriate behavior and put masks on, keep some amount of distance between each other while you interact with them. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please join us for lunch.